India, Hindi. And so we've just, whenever we wanted a word, yacht, schooner, Dutch words. They had them, we thought it was a good idea, we took them. And this is why the English language is so huge number of words, and it's amazing that the English and the Americans still more or less understand each other, because of course the Americans are going slightly differently all the time, but there's enough interaction that we know what we're talking about. But if the Maoris don't have a language that they can use all the time, it must go down the drain. Now they've got a wonderful language for making impassioned speeches about their feelings, their emotions, their Maori tama, their Maori culture, their spirituality, the spirits that are everywhere and so on. And it's great for that. That's what they've been doing for many thousands of years. But it's not very good in talking the language that mechanics want to use, this sort of thing, and so it makes it very difficult. So what do? They tried to start what they called kia rio rather, which would be small schools where children would learn to speak Maori, which was fine if they were talking amongst the family needs. But that was all right to get them started, but you've then got to carry on and have geography books written in Maori. Well, they aren't. Nobody has got around to producing all the geography books to describe the world in Maori. So there's a terrible shortage of technical books in Maori for Maori people to read, if in fact Maori people could read them. And most of them couldn't because they haven't had the technical background. So this is a very real problem that they've got. Which way are you going, north or south?
No, no, she's going for a walk that way, but she's going north.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I'm headed back there.
But I was going to say, there's a good marae in Christchurch where they would welcome you on very sensibly and give you quite an ear bashing on what you ought to know about the Maori culture.
Yeah, I just came from there.
Oh, you've been there?
No, she just came from Christchurch.
I came from Christchurch, but I didn't get to see that.
Right, and where's the next place you're stopping at?
I'm not really stopping in Picton. I'm kind of just heading up there and getting the ferry back to Wellington. But I have a day, well, half a day in Wellington.
But she's going to be in Auckland. She's got a friend up in Auckland who she's going to be with. Yeah. But a question for you, because although I went to school with Maoris and so forth, but to my knowledge, Maoris never sang.
Never sang?
Yeah, sang. Like we sing, like the opera, and we sing language, and so they did the haka and things like that. But from my knowledge of Maoridom, they didn't sing, and that's coming later on. They've adopted white people's music and so forth to sing and present it as if it's their culture, and it's not actually. Do you agree?
That's right, yeah, they've modified it quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, many of the significant Maori songs are in fact Pākehā background, yes.
Yes, yeah.
There are a few chants that have developed into Maori songs, but actually I find the Polynesian women screech, and it's the Polynesian men. I taught for some years in Samoa, and the Polynesian men are the ones who have this ability to harmonise.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure to go to church in Samoa and listen to the men sing.
Right.
As long as you could not listen to the women screeching. But, you know, all the singing appeared to be in 4 or 5 part harmony, just as a matter of course. But then all the kids were brought up, I mean, when they were that high, they were dancing, and the rhythm was inherent in them. And if you do that from very small, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway.
Yes, you have to get out on the marae somewhere. And the only way is to approach them and ask, can you go? And they'll invite you on, and they'll tell you the correct behaviour, because they have quite a procedure.
Yeah. you're with your friend up in Auckland. If you're going to be there if you're up there, get up there in about a week up there, there's enough Morais around which they should be able to put you in contact with, and that will actually help you with your study.
Yeah.
But you need to get on with it, because it strikes me as a typical university student, you're taking a damn project too lightly. This is a major project,
Yeah, I know.
you need several. You ought to be immersed in an Maori culture somewhere where you can see all the factors of it.
That would be ideal.
Ask them. The Maoris are extremely hospitable. If they think you are interested, they'll be away.
Yeah.
You don't know where you are in Auckland?
I'm staying with a friend in Kingsland, Melbourne.
In where?
Kingsland, Auckland.
Now, I've got a chap I worked with is a Maori and is very well thought of in art circles. You've got some of his designs you'll find in Queen Street. Fred Graham, I was going to say, if you're down South Auckland, you ought to ring Fred Graham at Waiuku up and tell him Norman Webb suggests that you make a fuss, but yes, he's really further. His Moari is further south anyway. You really have to get some of the people living in that area. That'll be good.
Yeah.
But yes, it makes a good reason for coming to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you asked the question at the right time when the right guy was here.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, well, thank you. It's really opportunity.
I mean, we tend to put the Ten Commandments sort of thing that on my father and mother and all that sort of thing, and you should be honest and so on. But the Polynesians put family so far ahead of everything else that we can't comprehend it. In Samoa, first time I was there in the 50s, just before independence, an incredible number of villages had started a little community system of buying us goods, stuff and so on, and they nearly all failed simply because the young man running them could not say no to a senior member of the village. So he's old enough to be a Matai, a chief, and he said, I want this, I will pay next week. You know, I'm not a Matai. I haven't got enough pule, enough man, enough prestige to say, stop off, you can't do it. No, I have to let you go.
Yeah.
And you may or may not pay, probably not.
Yeah.
And so lots of them went fat because they hadn't got the strength to do it. When I was there 15 years ago, there was an interesting case, a motor car crash on the corner, right? And there was an immediate police, false bad driving and so on. And one of the witnesses William got up and said, sir, this and this happened. And that went on. About 3 months later, there was a civil case on the same accident to claim damages for the accident. And William got up and said that and that happened. Now, what William forgot is that there was only one magistrate in Samoa, and it was the same bloke who had heard his earlier. And so he said, William, you know, what gives? 3 months ago you said this and this, now you say that and that happened. And William, with charming candour, says, Your Lordship, you're almighty, you whatever, you know. What I'm saying now is the truth. But the defendant was my brother, that is to say a cousin, he was related to him, and now, so he had to support him. But it was all right, so I told lies then, but it was all right because Your Honour, you found him guilty, and he was guilty, so that's right, you know. Now, as far as William was concerned, everything was absolutely right. Justice had been done, the man was guilty, and he was found guilty. Good. He had done the right thing by his family by telling lies, basically. But that's all right, because the family must be supported. And he couldn't understand it, why the magistrate went on about perjury or some word he'd never used before. The magistrate was quite cross with William. And William hadn't the faintest idea why this curious Pākehā magistrate should be so cross with him. But it's just totally understandable. Similarly, I don't think that the Samoans are Christians at all. I don't know how Christian you are, but basically, if you follow the teaching of Jesus Christ, it's basically forgiveness and so on and so on. The Samoans like the idea of the Old Testament, which had a hierarchical structure where someone like Moses had several wives, thousands of sheep, equal number of goats, or pigs, the whole lot, you know, and a whole tribe supporting him. Now, this makes good sense to the Samoans because that's how society's organised. Family, one man at the top of the time, bingo. And so they're really Old Testament, which means that utu, which is a Maori word, which means basically a comeuppance. In other words, if you do something to me, I must do the same thing to you, probably a little worse, because it's payment back, in other words.
They're back with a trust.
And
An eye for an eye.
this, right, and this eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, Old Testament stuff, obviously right. So they really haven't taken on to Christianity at all, but the Old Testament people are very strong in it. So now the New Zealanders, the Maoris, tend to be working along the same things. You'll find that the mana, familiar with the word mana? Mana, using these Polynesian terms, it is standing in the place. The standing of a person, of an older person, is very important. I'm now 85 and therefore I've accumulated a fair amount of mana and pule. If I went on a marae, they would treat me with a certain amount of respect because of my age and background. This is so important to the Polynesian culture that you'll find that these wise old men carry considerable standing within the tribal community, and it's a good thing too. A lot of them act as mentors lower down. Yes. No, have fun.
Thanks.
Thanks, that's really... You're heading back to Waikari now, is it?
We're going back to Waipara.
I'm actually on my own. So
She's on her own, just doing a tour.
Yep. So, yeah.
Well, my wife is walking back to the